Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning to all of you joining the session. Welcome to Faculty of Pharmacy UiTM e-learning workshop series 2. Continuing from the first series of webinars in 2021, the second series is aimed to provide an exposure to the faculty members on current trends and best practices in the 21st century teaching and learning. So we actually have here the right person lah, ya. So today we have one of the Malaysia's top e-learning experts, practitioners and researcher, Associate Professor Dr. Azidah Abu Ziden from University of Science Malaysia. Welcome, Azidah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Who will conduct this session on the topic of scholarly teaching. So briefly about Associate Professor Dr. Azidah. She is a senior lecturer at the School of Educational Studies, USM. She is currently the Deputy Director of the Centre for Development of Academic Excellence, CDAE, USM. Dr. Azidah is the recipient of the prestigious Anugerah Akademik Negara, AAN, under the Teaching Award category in 2017. A year later, she won the Gold Award for Best Learning Model, Blended Learning, in Learning X Impact Award 2018 in Melbourne, Australia. As a national e-learning master trainer, she actively conducts training sessions for lecturers and educators at national and international levels. In the areas which are also her research interests, they are in instructional design, the e-learning, M-learning, M for mobile learning, educational technology, ICT and multimedia, and of course, 21st century learning. In this session, Dr. Azidah will share her vast experiences, expertise, and provide us some guidance to scholarly approaches in teaching and learning. Dr. Azidah, the session is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Associate Professor Dr. Aisyah Saad. Thank you for the invitation to be here this morning. Okay, let me just share my screen first. For today, I'm just going to share with all of you my experience. Yeah, my experience in teaching. Actually, it comes from my teaching. All right, and then it goes to teaching innovation and publication. So whatever I do, it comes from my classroom, my own classroom, and it goes to innovation and it goes to publication. So as mentioned just by Dr. Aisha just now, okay, although you can see that I won the AAN right in 2017, and then I got the Learns Impact Award. Okay, and now I haven't got much time actually to do research because of my administrative position here. It is like a very huge task for me, but I'm still doing research. Okay, and although people might say that how do we do research or publish based on our classroom. So this is what I'm going to share with you all, what I did, what I'm still doing, okay, currently still doing, all right, and then how it will contribute to all the KPIs. Okay, we have the KPIs, and it is like so important for us to achieve the KPI, but sometimes we don't have the time. All right, so doing scholarly teaching, scholarly teaching is not just teaching, but we do all what I call 4-in-1, literal. Okay, 4-in-1 through our classroom. Okay, so that it will benefit us, it will benefit our students, it will benefit everybody, and for our institution as well. Okay, so let me just share with you all my scenario. Okay, I've been teaching in USM since 13 years ago. All right, I've been here for 13 years. All right, so when I was first teaching here in 2008, end of 2008. Okay, I was given a big class. All right, because I'm teaching ICT for undergraduates, for pre-service teachers. I am in the School of Educational Studies. Okay, but I'm teaching ICT. I'm teaching educational technology to pre-service teachers. So firstly, when I tried that with a research grant, at that time I got a research grant. Okay, I bought 4 servers because one server is for Maxis, one server is for DG, one server is for Celcom, because we would like to get the students because one SMS consists of 10 cent at that time. So if we use servers according to the mobile provider, then it will be 1 cent each SMS. So the student won't complain so much because it's only 1 cent. If we send quiz, they only use 10 cent of their credit. Ya, student ni dia kena code credit dia ya. At that time lah, and now it is easier lah. Alright. So yeah, then when I did that particular quiz via SMS, okay, they use their SMS, they send question, and then I send question, they prompt a code to a certain number, okay, and then they will get the question, and then they will choose, for example, A, and then they send the A code, and then they will get around 10 questions, and then they will finish, and then they will immediately get the marks. All right, at that time it was so, they were so impressed with the technology, okay, because they got the answer by immediately. All right, but when I did that first time, okay, in my own class with the 200 students in a lecture hall, it was really it was unsuccessful. It was a failure at first when I did that because the server hang. Okay, because so many students try the quiz at the same time. Okay, and then when they send the code, doctor, we cannot get the answers, we cannot got the questions, and I said, okay, this is a failure. All right, and then when I got back, I think, okay, what should I do? All right, so I said, okay, I shouldn't do the quiz in synchronously in class, but I give them, okay, you can do this quiz between today 8 p.m. until tomorrow or the day after 8 p.m. Then, okay, anytime. Okay, so then it was successful, asynchronous. Okay, and then the student were impressed, and then they say, wow, doctor, I did my quiz after my Maghrib prayer, atas sejadah. So I got 10 out of 10. Okay, so at that time, they were really okay, impressed, and they think that was a really good for their study and so on. And then one student said, I did the quiz in a bus on my way back to kampung. So what happened was, okay, I was really tenang dalam bus. I have nothing to do. So doing the quiz was a right move. Okay, so that was my first intervention. Then, from that, I know that, you can fail. Okay, when you try to do intervention in your own classroom, you might fail. But then you need to do some modification. You need to try to do something else so that you can actually achieve what you have planned. Okay, and then I tried intervention too, whereby after in 2014 we have much more internet in the lecture hall and so on. They brought their laptops, okay, in the lecture hall. And then intervention 3, okay, I do a lot of intervention. This is just a few. All right, then blended learning, I try blended learning in my big class, okay, and it was really at that time, people don't use Zoom yet, people don't use WebEx yet, they don't use Google Meet yet. Okay, at that time it was Google Plus, I think. All right, so I tried that in my class before COVID. So students were really impressed at that time. So when COVID appeared, what happened was my students were the one who helped me to actually help other students, and also their lecturers to teach via Zoom, via Webex and so on, because they are used to it. Okay, but their lecturers were not used to it. So they helped me. Okay, because I have to do the trainings to all the lecturers in USM. So I get my students to help me in terms of training their own lecturers. Okay, and then intervention 4 and beyond, for me, just do it. All right, just do it in my class. Okay, it starts from my class. Okay, whether it is a big class, whether it is a small class. Okay, later on, I'm going to share with you all what I did yesterday. Okay, yesterday was Wesak Day in Penang. We have a holiday, but I still conducted my class. So I'm going to share you what I did yesterday. All right. It was not a big class, but still I have to do intervention. All right. So people always ask us, yeah, as academics, okay, especially in USM, we are a research university, right? And people always, I think some of the, administrator in the university always ask, okay, how do you do research? You don't have a research grant, okay? You are not a principal investigator. You are not principal grant owner, okay? So how do you do research? This were the questions that are being asked to us as academics, right? So I always argue that, okay, even though I don't have a research grant, but I still do research. Okay, how do I publish if I don't do research? You think, I just publish every year and I don't have a research grant, then I don't do research? No. Okay, no, definitely no. I do research in my own class, then I do innovation, and then I publish. And why I am showing you all this, because each semester, yeah, this was last semester, now we are in the semester 2. Okay, this was my last semester's class. You can see how many courses that I taught last semester, and this semester a bit I have 3 courses, but still it is for a person who are doing administrative job. You can see that this is quite high load for a lecturer. So sorry. Okay, so meaning that I still teach. Okay, I still teach and I do administrative job. I also do a lot of trainings for lecturers and I do a lot of things. All right. So if let's say I have grants, okay, I have grants, okay, but sometimes I don't have time to actually do the research based on that particular research grant because lack of time. Okay, I have 24 hours similar to everybody, but I think, with my class, with my whatever task that I have, so I don't think if I apply for more research grant, I won't be able to leave actually, because there are too much work to do. So if people say that, ask me, you don't have a research grant, so how do you do research? I said, I'm doing innovation in my class, and from that particular innovation, I'm going to publish. And I can go to Scopus, I can go to WOOS. That is no problem. Okay. Okay. So why did I do that? Right? Like I said just now, I have no time. Okay. So I have to use my whatever I have in hand to do research. Okay, I have to, because because of lack of time and so on. And everybody, we can do that. All right. If people say that, okay, you don't have a research grant, okay, it's okay. I can use my own class to do research. I can do innovation. I can go to, whatever competition, innovation, teaching and learning innovation based on what I do in my class. Okay. So why I do that? First, pack of our class. All right. Our class, first, we can start our research based on our problem in the classroom. Okay. Don't tell me that you don't have problems in your class. Okay, in your own class, I think we have many problems. Okay, we have many problems. We have students who are quiet the whole semester. They don't even speak at all in our class. Or we have students who are highly active in our class, and he or she they do not give chance to any of other students to speak in the class. That is a problem as well. And then we have many problems to provide teaching resources, to teach them online. For example, during COVID-19, okay, we face a very high problem in terms of getting our student interact. Okay, and then we were really tired because we are speaking by ourselves in front of the computer, like speaking with a wall. Okay, when you ask question, okay, can you remember teaching during online, yeah, during COVID-19? Okay, do you feel like what I feel? Okay, until now, yeah, until now, like I'm talking to the wall. Okay, when you ask question, okay, Aisha, can you please answer my question? And Aisha will like nowhere in the scene. Okay, and Aisha did not on her webcam, for example. All right, and you call her name and she never answer you, and you don't know what she was doing, behind the computer. And then you call another person, and the other person also keep quiet behind the screen. And that is a big problem. How do you engage your students? How do you know they learn? Okay, so that is something to be researched on. Okay, you need to ask question. Is it me? Was it me that make the students was the main problem in this situation? Okay, am I not teaching clearly, or am I teaching by myself? Okay, am I too teacher centered? Okay, how do I get my students, okay, to be involved in the classroom? Okay, so the research can start based on our problems. So you need to identify the problems. Even if you do research, the scientific research, you need to start with a problem. Okay, you need to start why I do this. Why do I need to do this research? Similar to what happened in the classroom. Okay, you need to identify the problem. Okay, if the problem is you, if the problem is us, the way we teach. So how do we do some intervention on what we teach? Okay, so you need to do that. You need to identify the problem in your classroom. Okay, then part of our class number 2, whatever we use in our class can be used as research materials or for our research focus. Whatever we use, even our PowerPoint slide, okay, can be used as research materials. Okay, for example, today I'm having a session with you all, okay, this morning, and I'm using this particular slide. Okay, so I can after my class, okay, after my webinar today, I might want to do a Google form. What do you think about my slide? For example, is it interactive? Is it too much? Okay, can you understand my slide? Okay, is it you can see I have images, I have colorful colorful font. Okay, so is my slide too distracting to you? All right, or my slide is too much, and then you put a Google form and you can ask your students that particular question. It is simple, but from the data you can improve. Okay, you can improve. Okay, next week class, I might want to change my font style. I might want to put less images because it is distracting. Okay, so when you do that, you might want, okay, is there any theory that mentioned about multimedia presentation, slide presentation? Then you go and look for theories, how to prepare a slide presentation. You might want to go, when you Google, then you would find Mayer's multimedia theory of cognitive learning, for example. then you go there and Mayor will say, okay, if you have image, you don't have to put this. If you have image, you don't you don't put a song or whatever in your slide, for example, because it is redundant. There are redundant principle in Mayer's multimedia theory of cognitive learning. So then you can start, oh, okay, I cannot put this, I must minimize whatever, and then from there you have, okay, my previous slide, and then this is my next week slide. Okay, then you put another Google form and you ask your student the same question. Then from there you can analyze your data and then you can publish. All right, you have the result. Okay, compare the last week presentation and this week presentation, and then you can actually do some simple analysis. Okay, even if you put some, okay, what are your comments to my presentation? They will put some open-ended answers that can be used as your data. All right, and you can publish. It is as simple as that. Okay, that is simple. What about you are doing much more complicated intervention in your class? You can go further. All right, so you can take, like, for example, 6 weeks of your classroom and do data collection in your classroom, and then you do intervention. And the intervention should also be included uh, in your publication later on. Okay, so this is true facts that we can do. Okay, we have our problem in our classroom, and then whatever we do in our class, whatever materials, whatever focus that we have in our classroom, you can use it, okay, as a research base for your own innovation and publication. All right. But, okay, but always there is a but there. All right. How do we start? Okay, I think, because I am from education, people think, okay, orang education senang lah. You are from education, you have learned how to do this, you know what you are teaching, you have been trained as educators, you have been, yeah, I've been trained as educators for many years, but we are from science. For example, from Faculty of Pharmacy, we are doing scientific research based on our expertise. Okay, so based on our medication and whatever lah. I bukan orang pharmacy, I don't know. But still, okay, how do I start with my own class? Okay, I'm teaching pharmacy. I'm teaching a topic on science. Okay, so how do you start? All right, this is the question that people, that academics in different education area, regularly ask me, how do we start? I don't know how to start. It is hard. Okay. All right. You can see that our class is a handy research place. Okay, really handy. You don't have to, ask permission from somebody else. Okay, it is our class. And if, let's say, you are teaching by yourself, it is much more easier. All right, it is much more easier. But in USM, usually we have two lecturers teaching one. Okay, we co-teach in one subject. But that is okay as well. All right, we can do research collaboratively, or we can do by on our part. Okay, during our part of teaching, or we can actually look at, if you co-teach. Okay, you can actually do research based on your co-teaching. Okay, for example, is co-teaching effective in that particular class? Okay, how co-teach can be made effective? Okay, for that particular subject, you can do that. Discuss with your colleague, and then you can do a research based on that. All right, because you are teaching mainly on your subject, but you can do more in terms of educational methods, educational topics. All right, so our class is a handy research place compared to other places. Okay, start with your own class. All right, and firstly, you have yourself. Okay, you are the one who are going to do that. You don't have to rely on anybody else. Okay, you have yourself. You have your students. All right, you have your students. Okay, usually they are willing to help you in terms of, do some innovation. And they usually, from my own experience, okay, they are happy to help. They are happy when you do innovation, because class without innovation is so boring. They are going to attend the class, the same way every week. When you do innovation, they cannot expect, they don't know what to expect in your class. Okay, and then they will be really excited to go in your class, because they are thinking, kelas Dr. Azidah next week, what is she going to do? Okay, and for example, I did one class. Okay, this is before COVID. Okay, I told my students, okay, this today and no, tomorrow I don't want you all to attend class. That is my specific. Okay, this is before COVID. Don't come to the computer lab. I don't want to see any of your faces in the computer lab. Okay, with that particular sentence, they were like, okay, where are we going to go? All right. So I said, okay, I would like you all to share your live location. Okay, that class was not a really big class. So I said, in the class group, WhatsApp class group, I would like you all to share your live location. The class was at 5 p.m. So at 5 p.m, please share your live location for 1 hour, and I'll be check that. All right, they were like, okay, where should we go? Anywhere except in USM. I said, you cannot go in USM, but you can go anywhere. You can go to Tesco, you can go to wherever you want, but not in USM. Okay, so that sort of intervention can really excite student. Okay, saya nak pergi mana ni? Saya nak duduk di mana? Okay, so and people will like, okay, Dr. Azidah ni, what is she going to do? What was she going to do? Alright, and then I give, okay, at 5 p.m, I'll give you some more instruction. But for now, ready to go somewhere with your phone, and I can see, what happened when everybody in that particular group share their live location. In WhatsApp, you can see everybody there is a map whereby you can see where are everybody. Okay, so you can see that, okay, this person is somewhere here together in one map, so you know that they are not going near everybody. Okay, but I give some regulation there. Okay, you need to do this, you need to do that, but no USM. Okay, and no, you cannot go. You cannot sit beside each other. Okay, you need stay at home or whatever. So that sort of intervention, was unexpected by the students. Okay, they were like, okay, apalah Dr. Azidah buat ni lepas ni, apalah kami kena buat. Alright, so it is something that you have your students, you have yourself, so do some intervention that really excites student. Okay, that was actually the one that I won in Melbourne for my Learn Impact Award. All right, because it is what I did in my class. Okay, and it is a blended learning, whereby the blended learning is very active blended learning. Each of the student, they need to do something, and then they need to collaborate, although they're in different places. But then at 5 p.m, I give some instruction. Okay, you need to collaborate with one of your peers, all right, to do one task, but you are not together. So I would like you to solve the problem on how you do this, and you can choose whatever methods, and then at 8 p.m, I would like you all to present. Okay, what? Then they presented together, but in different places, and then from there, I would like you all to give reflection. What happened from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. today? Okay, with my class for 4 hours. Okay, what happened to you all? Okay, what have you experienced? And from there, I got a really positive feedbacks from the students. They said, we did not expect, this class is as active as this, although we are in different parts, all right, in different parts of Penang. Some of them were in Seberang Jaya, some of them are in Balik Pulau, and so on, all right. So you have yourself, you have your students, you have your class plan, meaning that you have your syllabus. You have your syllabus, you have topics that you are going to teach today, this week. So what are you going to do with that particular topics? All right. So usually, for example, in online class, you are sitting in front of your computer and you deliver. So instead of delivering the content, what can you do differently? Okay, so that is your class plan. Look at your class plan and think, what can I do differently with this particular class plan? Okay, I have this PowerPoint, I have this slide. What can I do differently? Can I not use this slide? Okay, will that be okay? All right, for your information, yeah. Now I have no slides for my class. Only for webinar I prepare slide. But for my own class, biasanya I will say to my students, PowerPoint diharamkan. Okay, for their presentation, they cannot use PowerPoint unless they are going to do something with the PowerPoints. All right, if not, I'm not allowing you to use PowerPoints, and I'm not allowing myself to use PowerPoint as well, because I don't want you to just, follow what I do. So usually my class has no PowerPoint. You don't ask me, Dr. Azidah, PowerPoint ada, slide ada, boleh tak kami nak copy? Sorry. Okay, I don't have that. All right. And then you have your materials. Okay, for your class, you don't have only your PowerPoints, but you have your slide. You don't have only your slide, but you have your maybe YouTube videos. Maybe you have whatever materials, reading materials. You have so many things. All right. If you are teaching sciences in labs, for example, you might have different things as well. All right. So you have your materials for your teaching, and most importantly, you have the power in your class. Okay, you have the power. So why don't you use the power that you have in the class? All right, your students know that you have the power. So do intervention in your class, do innovation in your class, so that your students will appreciate your effort. Okay, we need the, as a lecturer, as an academics, all right, sometimes life is so boring, because when you go to class, nobody, after class they always say thank you doctor, thank you, thank you, thank you, but just thank you. You need a wow from your students. You need your student to say, wow doctor, okay, kelas tadi best sangat. That is the thing that we would like to hear from our students. Sebab kelas kita best, then they are interested to come back to our classroom. Okay, they will say, okay, Dr. Aisyah, your class is so sophisticated. Dapat macam tu kan, if you can hear from your students that your class is so sophisticated, how do you feel? Yang itu yang buat kita ada semangat. Our, still rasa sayang nak pencen lah sekarang ni kan, we have issues, cikgu-cikgu semua nak pencen, lecturers pun rasa nak pencen, too many KPIs and so on. But what makes me going is my students. My students, they always say that, something that positive. At the end of the semester, the penilaian pengajaran, teaching assessment, you can see that how they appreciate you. Just kalau dia letak okay, that is nothing. Okay, just okay. This class is okay. Maksudnya tak okay lah tu kalau dia letak okay, sebab they don't want to think. Okay, but if they say something different, then your class is okay. It's really good. Okay, really catch their eyes. All right, so remember, we have the power in our classroom. Okay, so this was yesterday. All right, my yesterday's class at 5 p.m. Okay, so this is PLG 7 to 6. All right, okay. About this class, okay, this class is a doctorate class. Okay, in our School of Educational Studies, we offer a doctor of education. Okay, it is similar to PhD, but it is a coursework. Okay, a coursework. And at the end of the graduation, they will get a doctorate lah. Okay, same topi bulat as the PhD. All right, but they have to attend classes for a few semesters, and then they will do the research component. So my class PLG 7 to 6 is a class whereby it is I don't know why it becomes so popular this semester. Okay, usually I have only 5 students. 5, 6 students is normal. Okay, but this semester I've got 22 students. It was like, okay, kalau if it is a undergraduate class, it is okay. But for doctorate class, you have 22 students, it is not okay. Why? Because you need to get your students to think critically, because they are going to be a doctorate. Okay, they will get a doctor title in front of their name. So if they don't interact in class, if they keep quiet during class, you don't know what they have learned and how they can deliver that. All right, compared to the undergraduates, okay, that is not so much a problem. Okay, 22 for undergraduate, 22 students for undergrad, like easy peasy lah macam tu kan. But for doctorate, it will not, it is too many for me. All right. So what happened? All right. When you have 22 students, you need to see their thinking. For doctorate student, their thinking, their change of thinking. Okay, not just their thinking, but how their thinking change during my class. All right. So all right. So the 22 students come from different majors, because this is a very popular class. Like, I think because suddenly 22 students from different majors. Yeah, I'm teaching educational technology. Okay, but other students from TESOL, teaching English for speakers for other languages. Okay, TESOL. And then I have science students. I have curriculum study students suddenly enroll in my class. I was asking them, why are you taking this course? All right. They said, okay, it is very popular. Our senior recommended that we enroll to this class. I was like, okay, siapalah punya angkara ni ramai sangat masuk ni kan? Okay, I asked their senior and they said, doktor, kami lah cakap, because it was, when we did your class last semester, it was so good, so we promote to our juniors, ambil kelas ni sebab it is interesting. Okay, so from the seniors. Lepas tu, I marah juga lah. I cakap, you all pun nak promote, tak payahlah teruk-teruk sangat promote, there will be students in the class. Tapi dia orang kata, tak apa doktor. I think bila our junior ask, we recommend your course because, it is available this semester. Alright, so this is the largest group that I have since 10 years lah for EDD class. Okay, Doctor of Education class. And then, when they come from different majors, all right, so they have different level, different skills in technology. That is a problem as well, because my class is educational technology. All right, and I need them to be, their level, they should have adequate level of technology. I don't want them to not know how to do infographics. I don't want them to, just use slide, with without images, without whatever. Okay, it will actually hurt me as an educational technology lecturer. Okay, and then I have 17 students from China. Okay, from China. So only 5 locals. Okay, out of 22 students. You know what is the problem with students from China? First, their English. All right, their English. Some of them are really good. Okay, some of them are really good. Their English are really good, but some of them, they can't even speak. They will on their translation. When I speak, I can hear that, there are voice translators in their computer and so on, and then they will listen to that translation, and then they will try to answer based on what the translator did, okay, in the computer. All right, so that is a major issue in that class. All right, because we have 22 students. Okay, I have no problem with the lockers, although some of the or two of the lockers, they are not educational technology students, but they are okay. Mainly they are okay lah, because they are teachers, they are lecturers, so should be okay. And then what happened these few weeks? The first, now we are in our sixth. All right, so I just realized I was disconnected. Okay, can you hear me now, Aisha? Okay, good. All right. Yeah, sometimes the internet suddenly lost in USM. All right. Okay, so what I found, all right, during the first few weeks of the semester, all right, I found this class has lack of interaction. Okay, mostly from the Chinese student. All right, they will keep quiet, and their names. My problem was, okay, their name seems similar to me. Okay, it is like, I have difficulties to even pronounce their name. Okay, so what happened was, I don't know them. All right, lack of interaction, okay, for that particular class. So that is actually the main problem, one of the main problem in this particular class, my yesterday's class. Okay, all right, so then I have to do something. And the cause is current issues in instructional technology. And I think that, okay, when I ask questions, some of them were really quiet, they don't answer question. And then when I ask, where are you? They said, okay, I have internet problem. Okay, that is always the excuse that they have. So what I did yesterday was, okay, when I said, last week I gave them a task. Okay, it is about MOOC, issues in MOOC. All right, because this is current issues. So I give them issues. I ask them to enroll in my course in open learning. And then I ask them to go into that class and look for problems in that particular class, issues that they encountered. All right. And then yesterday I said, I'm going to put you in breakout rooms, all right, at 5 p.m. All right. So you need to present to your classmates, not me. And your classmate will evaluate you, not me. All right. And then one of your classmates will report to me what happened. All right. Later on, I'm going to show you the report. Okay. So this is what happened to me yesterday. All right. Yesterday's class. And then at the end, I got notes. Okay, I can see I collected data. I prepare a Google form, okay, whereby everybody need to fill in their peers presentation, and then I need after that we have discussion with the group leader, and then I need the assistant group leader to give me a report on the overall what happened in the classroom, in the WebEx. Okay, so that was the data collected. Okay, that is the problem. And then I collected data from what happened in the classroom. Okay, now I have data. So do I need research grant for that? No, because I have the power to collect data in my own classroom. Right? So don't give excuse that you cannot publish or you cannot do innovation because you don't have research grant. You can do that in your own classroom because you have the power. So after this, I have the data. Maybe next week I'm going to next week we are in semester break. So after that, maybe the week after that, after I analyze the data that I receive, I got yesterday, I might be maybe collecting another data after the semester break, or I can start writing. Okay, I can start publish. Okay, all right. So later on, I'm going to go to the data, back to the data. So what I did actually is a action research, what we call action research. Okay, so have you heard of action research before this? Anybody? Have you heard of action research? to people in education, I think it is, we always do this, okay, especially for teachers in school. We do action research. They do action research in their classroom. Okay, they teach, they do research, they innovate, and then they publish. All right. So no excuse that you don't have research grant and you cannot publish. These are always the excuse that academics have. Okay, I don't have grant. Okay, I apply so many times. Okay, I apply grant so many times, but I don't know what happened. But I did not get. Okay, I try FRGS, I try even simple 5,000 grant pun tak dapat juga kan. So yeah, thank you Dr. Naim. Yeah, you said you never heard of action research. So after this webinar, I think you can start with doing action research. Okay, you don't need money for that. All right, you can start in your own classroom. You can teach, you can research, you can innovate. Okay, I'm going to just share with you all how you can do that. All right, from my what I mentioned just now. Okay, it start from my own class. Okay, the problem that occurs in my own class. All right, it is actually action research. It is a process. That's why just now I mentioned. Just now I collected some data from the activity that I did in my class. Okay, because I haven't got a chance to really look at the data. So maybe tomorrow or whenever I have time, I'm going to look at the data thoroughly and decide what am I going to do next. Whether I can publish from this or I need to do some more intervention in my next class. All right, so it is a process. Okay, maybe one class does not fit for you to just do innovation and then publish, but you need a few classes for you to do the innovation. All right, it's up to you because you have the power. You have the power. You know what you need to do next. But from the data, what we always do is we just think of, okay, next week we are going to do this. Okay, harap-harap berjaya lah. Okay, but from the data, you will know what are the main problems that actually occurs. For example, I said just now, my class, I have lack of interaction. Okay, so, and from my observation, yeah, during my class yesterday, from my observation, I found that, there are certain groups that really lack of interaction. I gave them instruction. Okay, first you need to select a leader, then you need to select an assistant leader, then group leader will take charge of the group. You are going to arrange for a presentation and so on. Okay, so I move around from groups to group 1 until group 5. I have 5 groups yesterday. So one of the group, when I I went into their breakout rooms, they don't know what to do. Okay, when I appear, they said, doctor, what we should do now? Okay, I said, I already gave you the instruction just now. Okay, who are your group leader? Oh, we haven't selected group leaders yet. Okay, what I found that, okay, from that particular group, all the group members, okay, although it was automatically assigned, all the group members were not active. Usually they were not active in the classroom. Okay, so when they were assigned to smaller groups, they were lost. All right, this is the main problem that I need to solve actually. All right, why they did not, whether they don't understand the instruction that I gave earlier. All right, because but I have actually typed in, I share with them the instruction and so on. So what are the process? Okay, why they don't get the instruction? All right, whether their English are not good, whether whatever. All right, so that is what I need to actually analyze. All right, in action research. Okay, so and then it will actually help me to better understand what happened in my class. Okay, so sometimes because we don't do research in our class, we just let it be. Whatever, whether they interact or not, whether they duduk senyap-senyap dekat belakang komputer and so on, we don't know what to do. Always we like, alah budak ni, selalu kita cerita dengan kawan-kawan kita lah kan. Alah budak tu selalu panggil nama dia tak menyahut. We need to do something so that we can know what are the problems. So, and then we are not answering a research question, but we only want to solve, okay? Usually in scientific research, we don't try to solve the problem. We do the research and then we had a hypothesis, then we just say, okay, there is a significant difference between this and that. But we are not intending to solve the problem. We just publish the result. But in action research, we are trying to solve the problem. So let's see, in this particular group that I found yesterday, one group whereby they did not understand my instruction, they may be lack of whatever understanding, maybe because of their language barrier. So what should I do next so that this problem do not occur in my next class, and I know that they are actually layak lah untuk menjadi seorang doctorate students, okay? Because if they don't speak, then I don't think they should be a doctorate student pun. Alright, so how do I solve that problem? Okay, so whatever you do in class, okay, you turn it into research. Okay, whatever you do, whatever simple problems that encounter in your own class, you turn it into research. Okay, so what I did during the first semester, earlier of the semester, all right, I found that, okay, these are my problems. These are my problems. Okay, then I plan. Okay, I would like my class to be much more, a certain students need to interact more. Okay, so I plan what to do in my class systematically. All right, remember you have the power. So based on the topic that you are going to teach, plan first. Okay, next week I'm going to do this, this and this. Okay, how am I going to collect the data? So first, you need to look at how are you going to collect the data. Okay, like yesterday, I just used Google Form. Okay, I use my Padlet. I use my recordings, class recording, and the interaction. Okay, that was my source of data. Okay, that I collected. Also, at the end of the class, I asked my students to share their notes. The assistant leader need to share their notes. So, they share their notes. All right, so that is what I plan. I plan to get this data out of my yesterday's class. All right, so that was what happened yesterday. I already planned and I already collected the data. The action taken yesterday. All right, and then I observe. All right, so yesterday I observed during the class also, because I haven't got time because yesterday my class end up at night. So maybe today or tomorrow I'm going to actually look at the data and see what happened. All right. What do the friends say about the students' presentation? What happened in that particular group? What my actually, when I see the data, what happened in that particular group? Everybody got excellent, meaning that they give 5, 5, 5, 5, meaning that 5, their presentation are all good. Okay, so and I have actually told my students yesterday, I found that why are you when I go around the breakout rooms, I can see that some of you cannot present. You have lack of idea, but I can see that your peer review said that they are presenting very excellent. They can present so good, and their peer all said that they have excellent presentation. I don't understand that, but from my observation, the students are not excellent. Okay, so that is a problem. So what should I do next? Okay, that was from my observation. And then I haven't done the reflection. I need to do the reflection. I need to look at the data and see the reflection and so on. From there, I'm going to take notes. I'm going to analyze the themes and so on. Then I can start with my publication. All right. For example, I have peer review yesterday. So if I have peer review, I'm going to Google what types of theory that supports peer review. Okay, peer reflection. Okay, you don't just do and then assume, observe, reflect from your own observation, from the students, from your own reflection, but you need some theory to support. So if you are not in education, go to Google Scholar, for example, search for theory on peer observation, peer review, peer assessment. All right, then that particular theory can support your findings in your action research, and your publication will be reliable. If it is only from your observation, from your reflection, then your publication later on won't be reliable because it is not based on theory. Okay, so that is, I think, for those who are not in education, they don't know how to go about doing that. Okay, they can plan, they can action, they can observe, they can reflect. Okay, but they have lack of model, or they can lack of conceptual framework. They are lack of theory based on what they are doing. So when you plan, for example, you like to do peer assessment, then keep in mind, I need a theory or a model on peer assessment. All right, and then from there you match what you do with the existing model and theory, then you can write. Okay, if you just based on what you know, what happened in your classroom, you won't be able to publish because all the reviewers will reject what you do, because not based on existing theory. So remember, whatever you do, whatever you plan, go and search for certain theory. For example, what I did, peer review. So go and peer review model. For example, collaborative learning. For example, you do collaborative games, for example, in your class. So go and search for game theory, collaborative game theory, or something similar. Go for gamification theory. Okay, because that you can do in your class. Okay, so this is the basic action research process, but you need to know how to support the data that you get from this particular process. Okay, let's watch this video.
Teaching is a craft. It's both an art and a science, which is why great teachers always experiment and make tons of mistakes. But how do you know what's actually working? Well, one option is action research. Here you can identify a question, test out a strategy, gather data, and determine if it works. The end result is something dynamic, innovative, and tied directly to your classroom. Action research dissolves the barrier between the participants and the researchers. In other words, the teacher actively participates in the situation while also conducting the research. There are many action research frameworks, but they generally follow a similar process. You start out in phase 1, planning for research. Here you begin with inquiry, where you define a specific research question. It needs to be something that can actually be tested. Next, you conduct a literature review to gain a deeper understanding of the topic. Finally, you move into the design process, where you determine your data methods, consider ethical issues, get the required permissions, create deadlines, and set up the systems. Next, you move into the action phase. This is where you engage in multiple cycles of experimentation and data collection. Your data collection might include qualitative data like observations, artifacts, and interviews, or quantitative data like rubric scores, surveys, or achievement data. Afterward, you move to analysis. You'll often start by organizing the data with charts or graphs and looking for specific trends. You might also discuss it with peers, rewrite in a journal, or create a cluster map before eventually writing out your results. Finally, you have your conclusion. This is where you share your research with the world and reflect on your own practice. This will ultimately lead to newer questions, and the cycle will continue as you refine your craft as a better, more creative teacher.
All right. So I think it is clear, meaning that it is a process, okay? And then what I would like to actually highlight is how you collect the data. All right. Usually people from which is not from education background, you are not used to qualitative data. All right, which the video mentioned about observation. All right, maybe interviews and so on. All right, some of you might be familiar with scientific data, but not qualitative or mixed method. All right, and you can also use your achievement data. All right, your student achievement data. For example, you can start with giving your student tests. All right, tests from the topics that you have you are going to teach. For example, all right, give a test, and then you do the intervention, and then you are going to do the same test all over again and see the achievement, the students marks, whether they increase or not. All right, so that is quasi experiment. When you do quasi experiment, you don't need so many participants. All right, some concern with if let's say you are doing if we are looking at if we are looking at quantitative data. Okay, quantitative data, we need many respondents. Okay, many respondents, such as sometimes if you do a survey, for example, you need more than you need around 100 participants and so on. But when you do quasi experiment in your own class, 30 is enough. Less than 30 or 24, 20 is up to what you have in your classroom. Okay, so you can do quasi, you can do mixed method, whereby you do a little bit of statistic, and then you will have your observation data. Even your student reflection can be used, even your Google form can be used. So many source of data can be collected in your own classroom. Okay, so action research is learning by doing. All right, it is an active, what we do is we are becoming an active educator in our own classroom. Okay, I always do action research because it really helps in terms of getting my KPIs done. All right, because I teach a lot, like I showed earlier. All right, I teach a lot, so I haven't got time to, for example, I'm in education, so we always do research in schools. For example, in whatever education institution, we have to go out and do our research. But by doing action research, I can do research inside my class. All right, I can collect data, and it is much more easier. I can manage my time easily. All right, so what you need to do is make your class, okay? Make your class, choose a class first, all right? Whatever class that you think have problems, okay? Actually, each of the class that we are teaching should have some problems, all right? But you can start with one class and then think of, how do I change this class? For what purpose? Okay, for what purpose do I need to change this class? Maybe because of this class. For example, you are teaching mathematics. Okay, and if you are teaching mathematics, usually the concern is student performance. okay, you always get a few of the students fail the course or cukup-cukup makan. Okay, itu pun sebab when you tanda, you just put extra mark so that they don't fail, for example. So how do you do intervention on that? How do you make sure that everybody will pass, and not only pass but with flying colors? Okay, what happened to me for the class that I won in Learn Impacts Award? All right, during that particular class, okay, after at the end of the class, because that class has exams, okay, final exam. So in that particular class, when I finished that class, during the examination, okay, final examination, okay, they were in a big hall, okay. So what happened was, okay, in USM, if you are you have like 10 students in a class, so they will be placed in a big hall with other students in examination. So we have a few courses in one big hall for examination. What happened was, my students, that particular students, during the exam, when the times are up, 2 hours, there are some most other students from other courses in that particular hall. So when they came out of the exam hall, they were really noisy behind the door, behind the hall. So I went out the class and I asked, hey, shh, please be quiet, other people are still doing the exam. I told my student, they said, doctor, okay, one of the guys said, I can surely get an A for this particular exam. Okay, I said, wow, you are very confident. Everybody were happy in that class. I said, why? I can remember each of the steps that you taught in this class. I know what I did, and I can remember what we had encountered throughout the classes in this course. So I can surely get an A. I know that I have answered the question really tepat lah. Memang tak ada flaws lah dalam apa yang I jawab, dia kata. And yes, okay, everybody did very well in that particular class. All right, and I can, if you would like to see, and then the student said, okay, after that, after one semester, I met the students. Okay, they really remembered me, selalu cakap, doctor, we miss you, we miss your class, and so on. And then one of the guy also said, after 1 year, after 1 year, I met them, doctor, if you ask me to answer the question, the exam question now, okay, after 1 year, I can still remember what we encountered in your class. I surely can get an A again, he said. All right, that was the intervention that we want. Okay, usually our students after examination, okay, they answer the question and then they can get an A. But after 1 year, they won't be able to remember exactly what they did during that particular class. Alright, but this guy, he was really confident, said after 1 year, kalau saya buat lagi exam ni, sure saya akan dapat A. Saya pasti, saya ingat apa yang Dr. Azidah ajar dalam kelas tu, apa yang kita, it was not what I thought, but what they have encountered, what they have done in that particular course that made them remember what happened throughout that particular course. Okay, that is important. All right, that is the intervention, and that what we want to publish for our publication. All right, the impact that we have made to our class. All right, so when we do action research, it takes place in the natural setting of our own classroom. Okay, natural setting. You don't have to move somewhere or whatever. It is the natural setting. But think of what to do differently. How you are going to look at your class differently. All right. And then what action should be taken, okay, to improve, okay, to do intervention, and what strategies for you to use to determine the result. Okay, how do you collect the data? Okay, it is not it's up to you. It's up to you how you are going to collect the data. But make sure you collect the data. You have all the data needed for you to publish. And then in action research, you can be creative. You need to be creative. You need to solve the problem. Okay, and then you need to look at what approach can be used to solve this problem. Okay, and while you are teaching, you are becoming a researcher. Okay, we can see some of the lecturers, some of the academics in the university. What happened is now, if you some of the lecturers, when they like to teach, okay, they said, saya tak suka lah buat research. I don't like to do research. I like teaching. And then what the admin say, if you like teaching, you can go to school. Okay, go to school. You don't have to do research. You can go to school, be a teacher, then you can teach as much as you want. Okay, that is what we always hear. All right, but then they will say, you are in a university, you like to, if you like teaching, still you need to do research, because as a academics, okay, you need to do research, you need to teach, you need to do research, you need to be innovative, you need to do this, that, and so on. All right, so this action research will help you to cater that, meaning that you can be a researcher in your own class. All right. All right. So you need to give structure, okay, to the process of what you would like to know. Okay, give a structure. Plan. First, remember just now I said plan. Plan. Okay, next week I have class. All right, this class A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Okay, write down what are the problems in that particular class. Okay, so what are you going to do differently next week? Don't aim for a really high changes. Just think of something simple first. What am I going to do next week that slightly different what I have done last week? Okay? Just a simple changes. Okay, and then think of how am I going to record the changes. Okay, record the changes of my teaching, record the changes of what my students are doing. Okay, record the changes of my students' behavior. All right, how do I record that? All right, and then if you don't know what to do, okay, if you are stuck with macam mana nak tahu my students punya reflection and so on, at the end of your class, please make sure that you plan for a feedback from your student. Okay, feedback from your students. Let's say you just, okay, next week I've never do a breakout rooms, okay. Breakout rooms in my WebEx. Takut lah nak guna, takut kan tersilap lah, whatever lah kan. Usually people who are not into technology, that will be their concern. Okay, nak buat breakout rooms kan saya pula sesat. Okay, I'm going to be lost in the breakout rooms. I don't know where to navigate from this breakout room to this breakout room and so on. Okay, so that is a concern for academics who are not into technology. All right, so prepare to explore, one, and then prepare for a reflection and let your student know, I am also learning to use breakout rooms, so please, okay, make sure that if I lost, you can help me. Assign a student for co-host during your class. Okay, if let's say you are afraid that you get lost, why not assign a co-host that you think that can guide you, can help you in the activity. Ask your students for reflection, and then you also need to do reflection yourself. Okay, reflection from student, reflection from yourself as well. Okay, what did you struggle? What do you struggle during the process? Okay, I struggle to, I don't know, okay, which breakout rooms was this student, this problematic student. So record all what you do. All right. So from this reflective and inquiry process, even one class, if you know, your struggle, your student struggle, your reflection, your student reflection can actually becomes your data. And then from here, a research paper can be written. Even just from your observation, you can write a research paper. Okay, but a good research paper, like I said just now, from your reflection, you try to match with a model, with a theory, then you match and then see, okay, my reflection is like this, but the theory said it is like this. Then argue. So we are academics. We have passed our PhD, our masters before this. So you need to argue. That is from you and the theory. Then argue. Then it can become a research paper. Don't worry about whether it is qualitative or simple quantitative. You just use mean, for example. Okay, just mean. It is okay. No worries. But if let's say you say, alamak, I just use mean percentage for my data, okay, I don't think, it will be accepted in some journals. So why not use a mixed method? You have the percentage and then you will support it with the qualitative data from student reflection and so on. So you have mixed method and then your qualitative data will support the percentage that you have, the mean that you have, then it will be a very good paper. Okay, mixed method. All right. So the fact is that although sometimes you say, alamak, saya rasa macam susah lah nak buat ni. Alright. But the main thing is the action research can help you. Okay, you as educator. First, maybe if you try your first time, maybe you say, alamak, tak boleh lah nak buat paper from this one. I cannot be that innovative. I cannot go to whatever innovation, teaching and learning innovation. But at first, it can help you to be reflective. Okay, you can actually be much more effective in your teaching. Kalau if let's say before this you never tried to do intervention, innovation in your classroom, this will be your first step in doing it. Alright? You are investigating your own teaching. Okay, you are not investigating others, but you are investigating your own teaching and your own students' learning. Alright? So that is yours. You have the power. Alright? So you reflect your own practice and then you will see, okay, how your students learn. That is the most important thing. Alright? You can, at first, you can just forget about publication. You can forget about going to innovation, whatever teaching and learning innovation, carnival or whatever competition. But first, you can actually set your mind, I'm going to investigate whether my teaching is actually good. Okay, is helping my students to learn. Alright, that will be your main purpose. Then all the innovation, all the competition, teaching and learning competition, and also the publication will come. Okay, will come later and it will be like naturally comes to you. But you need to do the innovation in your classroom, investigate the problem and then try to solve the problem. Alright? And remember, action research is about your teaching and learning. Your teaching and your learning. It is not your students' learning first. It is your learning. You learn how to teach. Okay? Okay? Not everybody has education background. Okay? Like us, we were like trained. We were trained to teach. Meaning that, okay, when you teach, you need to have pedagogy. Okay? Not everybody have learned about pedagogy. Okay, when I learn about pedagogy, okay, if you speak to your students, you must look at their eyes. Okay, you need to actually do this, do that. Don't stare at the window while you are teaching, for example. Okay, But now we are using WebEx for teaching. So how do we actually use pedagogy? So not everybody knows that. Okay, I think 90% of the educators, the academics in the whole world, they don't know pedagogy because they don't learn how to use pedagogy. But it can naturally comes to you. All right. And whatever your expertise are, you are expert in pharmacy. So the expertise is there, but you need to also to be experts in teaching. All right. And whoever you are teaching, you need to do intervention. Teaching undergraduate students is different from teaching master students. Teaching master students is also different from teaching doctorate students. Okay, there are difference. You cannot just lump sum. Okay, I will teach. Similarly for undergrads, postgrads, and so on. Even if you have PhD students, the way you supervise PhD students also different. Okay, so that needs intervention. You can do action research for your PhD students. Okay, now I have 20. I have 20 PhD students. It is a main problem to me. All right, 20 PhD students, and last time I have 5, 6, 7 only PhD student, but now it like suddenly increased. Okay, so I have to do intervention as well because I cannot conduct face-to-face consultation with each of them. There are too many. If let's say I give 1 hour each, so 20 hours of my week will gone only for my PhD students. Mati lah macam tu kan. So I have to do the intervention. So the intervention of consultation to my PhD students also can actually help me, all right, to be much more efficient in my supervision. So what will you do in action research? Identify your problem first. Okay, the problem is always there. Identify, and then select a focus. Okay, if let's say you cannot engage your students in your WebEx class, that is the problem. My problem is engagement of student in WebEx. So what should I focus on? Okay, whether I'm going to focus on the activity, whether it is me. Okay, so you identify the problem, but is it me? Was it me who, make the students not, less interaction? Is it me? Because I would like to teach. I like to teach. So I just teach. Okay, so then if you say that it comes from me, that student has less interaction, then the focus will be amending my teaching. Okay, or do some innovation in my the class interaction. Maybe. All right. So identify the problem first. But let's see, you still have interaction problem, but you are doing a very active class. Okay. So how do I change the focus? How do I select the focus? So maybe you are going to change the interaction process. You are going to be quiet in your classroom. You are going to give a task to each of the students in your class. You are going to amend. You are going to give authority for others in your class. You are not going to have the authority. Then that will be your focus. Okay, maybe collaborative learning ataupun collaborative leadership of students in your class. Okay, that is the focus. So you are going to see whether the leadership in the classroom will help students to be much more there will be much more interaction occurs in the class. So that is what we call focus. Either focus is the students or the focus will be us, the teacher. Then you identify the research question. For example, just now I said about student leaders. All right. So the research question will be applying student leaders, whatever, help students to be more interactive. Helps in terms of student interaction in the classroom. Okay, so you identify the research question based on your focus. Okay, do changing my teaching teaching practice or teaching approach help students to be much more to build much more interaction in the classroom. Okay, so based on the focus, identifying research questions, and then you collect the data based on the research questions, and then you can analyze, and then you can report, and then taking informed action. Okay, the taking informed action is mean that you report, or you can actually not report yet. You analyze the data and you can take informed action. For example, maybe I need to revise a little bit from what I intended to do, and then you do some intervention in the same class, and then you report. Also can, all right? Not necessarily you analyze, then you can report. You can actually analyze the data, and then you found, okay, if from the data, they said that, all right, the authority given to the classroom leaders too much, then they don't have time, they don't have the courage to speak as well. So then you say, okay, I'm going to give less power to the leaders. So maybe less power, so that the friends will speak more. Then you do the intervention, then you report the result. Also can. All right, remember you have the power, so you can do whatever you want based on your focus of the research. Okay, the initial process similar. Okay, when you do research in whatever setting, it is mostly similar to other research, but the data collection process is different. Okay, all right. First, you need to justify the action is valid and reliable. All right. So that's why you need to, for example, do reflection. All right. Let me just go to what I have. Yesterday, not this one. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So this was the yesterday's. Okay. So this is the notes. Okay. Notes from the group. Okay. The assistant, remember the assistant leader, they have to take notes. All right, from the presentation. Remember, I just go from breakout rooms to breakout rooms. So I did not actually look at each of the presentation closely. Right? So every assistant leader need to take notes. So I'm going to look at the notes. Okay, I haven't got the chance to look at the notes, and then I have this. This is the peer evaluation data. I have 54 responses. All right. And then these are the questions. This is the peer evaluation. All right. Okay. Sorry, this is supposed to be name. All right. So put the name, and then the type. These are the questions. Okay. So they need to rate their friends, for example. Okay. And then please rate the understanding of the presenter about MOOC. Okay, remember in this class, I have different majors of students. So from yesterday, I found that more than half of the students, they never know about MOOC, because they are from different majors. They are from TESOL, they are from curriculum studies, they are from sciences, so they have never used MOOC before, they have never encountered MOOC before, they have never been introduced to MOOC. All right, so as a person who are involved in MOOC, like Dr. Aisha have been involving in MOOC for many years, so we just assume that everybody know MOOC. All right, and my students, they were mostly academics. They teach in IPTS or in universities. and also in college vocational and so on. So I found that, people who teach in college vocational in schools, they are not used to MOOCs. They never heard of MOOC. All right. So from this data I will know what they are understanding. For example, one of the student, his name is Zul. He is teaching in college vocational Balik Pulau. All right. So he said to me yesterday, okay, I recorded also the WebEx session. Okay, he told me today is yesterday was the first time that he was introduced to MOOC. All right. And then now he know that MOOC is free, and he just tell us, okay, this is a really good information, because I don't know that I can learn for free from different institution. All right. So that is the data that really important. Maybe it looks like very simple, right? Very simple that, oh, alamak, takkanlah tak tahu pun. Semua orang dah tahu, universiti semua tahu, for example, kan? But suddenly I realized, oh, there are people, and there are also other students who have never know about MOOC. So we know that academics also, maybe in our universities, we have a few of our friends who don't know MOOC. Then this would be a very important data for us to be highlighted in our publication or in our innovation and whatsoever. All right, then these all data that I have collected yesterday. I have this one, okay, and I have this one, and the responses I can see. All right, you can see that this is the organization of presentation. Mostly say that all their friends have they rated 5. All good lah tu, excellent lah everybody. Okay, only a few like get 3. The presentation is clear and understandable. So just a few of, so you can assume that okay, mereka ni semuanya cakap kawan-kawan dia present bagus-bagus belaka. Alright, okay, and even in the overall comment of the presentation, alright, overall good job, well prepared, and so on. You can see that they don't want to tell us whatever flaws that their friends have. Alright, so why? Okay, and then I found just one prepared but not answer the question. Okay, macam you can see here, yeah, prepared, lepas tu ... but not answer the question ... like he or she was reluctant to tell this. Alright, the expression is there, but macam alamak, nak tulis ke tak? Okay, something like that. You can, from the comment, you can see that, right? Alright, and then one more thing, all excellent, Okay, but during my movement in the WebEx, I found that, ya Allah, dia ni present, something like that I said, okay, their presentation is like, okay, but I can't see here in the reflection why. Okay, why? The question why need to be, you need to ask yourself why this happened. Alright, and then only one, I think, mentioned about internet connection. Because during one of the presentation in one of the group, one of the student was kicked out of the breakout room because her internet was disconnected, and then they have to wait for me. They don't know how to raise their hand and seek help from me, so they have to wait until I move around and go to the room. Okay, and then when I go there, doctor, this student, or she has been kicked out from this group about 2-3 minutes. We don't know how to get her back in this group. So I went to the main lobby and see, oh, okay, she is in the main lobby. Okay, they don't know how to get help, raise their hands, and so on. That is actually a problem that need to be highlighted. For example, when they are using technology. They are not in educational technology, they don't know how to reach the lecturers, and so on. So from this particular one class only, I have so many information, I have so many data, then I think that I can immediately publish this. I can write, okay, I can actually look at peer review, okay, what are the flaws of peer review. For example, I can also look at technology, the use of technology in teaching and learning, the use of breakout rooms. We assume that students can use breakout rooms and the lecturers can use breakout room, but it takes time actually for students to learn how to navigate and so on, right? That can be another paper from just one class. So that's why, it is very important for us to think what are the problems, and during our class, we need to actually reflect back what happened and how it can help us to improve our class. One is publish, one is improvement. How we can improve that, maybe clear instruction. If you need help, because yesterday I did not tell them, all right, if you have problem, please click, raise my hand. Because, you can click here so that you can seek help from me. Okay, I didn't mention that. So that was my fault actually. I didn't, but I assume that they know. All right, I assume that they know. So we as teachers, we actually always assume that our students already know. So you might write a paper about teachers' assumption of students' learning, something like that. All right, and then you can write down assumption that you have in your classroom and how it differs from what is exactly happened in your classroom. Then it can be a qualitative research paper in a publication. All right. Okay, so lessons drawn from the data align with any unique characteristic of the class. Okay, so my class will be different from your class. The characteristic of your student might be different from the characteristic of my students. Even just now I mentioned, postgrad students and undergraduate students will be different as well. And then number 3, avoid relying from single source. This is very important in action research, okay? You need to triangulate the data. What we call triangulate the data, meaning that you need to use multiple methods, okay? Because why? If you have a class like my one, the 200 students, then if you use quantitative data, use SPSS, statistics, and so on, should be okay because you have so many students. But if you have only 20 students in your class, so it is necessary for you to have, for example, if you would like to use survey, Google Form, then you need that. You might want to do reflection. So ask your students for reflection. What they learn? For example, at the end of the class, ask your student, what do you learn from today's activity? Okay, ask them to write. Okay, you can use Mentimeter, you can use Padlet and so on. Okay, just use the data, and the data are all anonymous. So you might want to ask them, okay, what do you want me to change for next class? What do you think your difficulties in doing the task given in this class? That type of question can help you actually. One is to do improvement in your class for next class. Also, it can be your data for meaning that you can reflect. Okay, the student said, okay, you need to be give us much more precise instruction. If the students say like that, so then you can reflect, okay, last time this is my instruction, this was my instruction, so next time I need to be much more careful and I can do intervention based on my only instruction. I do intervention on my instruction. Okay, so maybe my instruction should be 1, 2, 3, and then I stop, and then I do activity. Then I need another instruction after the activity, and then another 2 instruction, activity. So instruction, activity, instruction, activity. Okay, rather than you give whole lot of instruction and then activity. So that also is intervention that you can use, so then you can compare. Okay, my first instruction is like this, and then my second instruction is like this. I compare, and then how do the student feedback? How do we know the student feedback from these activities? And then you compare, and then you get the result, then you can publish. So it is feedbacks. Your publication should be something about the effect of students, teachers or academics instruction on students' satisfaction for classroom activity. That will be the topic for your publication. Alright. So that is how we do intervention and then we publish. Alright. And then remember, each student or activity will contribute to some form of data. Okay. So each of the data collected are important. Everything is important. So make sure that you record, make sure that you either you record by using audio, video, and so on for WebEx, for example. If you are in classroom, so how do you record the activity in the classroom? Okay, even you use, for example, in face-to-face class, even you use post-it pad, and then you stick on the whiteboard. That will be your data. Once post-it pad, post-it pad, this one, I have a love post-it pad here. All right. So this one can be one data. Okay, one piece of post-it pad. All right. So don't throw it away. You can use that. All right. And then data collection process can be done alone or with your co-teachers, co-colleague, whatever you. So meaning that if, let's say, I have in my class, I'm teaching first half of the semester, and my colleague is teaching second half of the semester, so we can actually compare what I did first half of the semester and my colleague did do second half of the semester, and we surely have, each individual have different way of teaching. So my way of teaching compared to my friends, my colleague way of teaching, and then what happened. That can be a publication as well. All right. Then when you analyze the data, you need to think of what is the story told by this data. I know that, some when I give trainings to some engineering lecturers, dia cakap macam ni lah. Dia kata memanglah orang education, you are too qualitative, you can visualize story, tapi kami ni engineers, we are sciences, so our imagination, our visualization, nak fikirkan apa yang story yang muncul tu agak sukar. But for me, I think you are teaching. You are there, you are doing it. So you just reflect to your experience in what you are doing. Okay, reflect back. It doesn't involve anybody else, your colleague or whatever. If you are doing it alone, okay, it is yours. Okay, just think of the experience, what happened, what are the students' reflection, all right, and why the story play itself out of this way. So meaning that, whatever happened, the story is there. Just don't forget to record. Okay, buat observation ke, when you do observation, please write down, okay, the importance point. Alright, kalau you are using WebEx, it is easier. You can record and you can watch it all over again. Alright, and then when you report the result, okay, you can actually publish in various conferences, journal articles, and then we don't need grants to do action research. Okay, yang ni you can actually brainstorm, okay, in what you can do. Okay, before I don't think we have time for brainstorming. Okay, but okay, you can actually think of, all right, when you go back, all right, think of what kind of action research can you do in your own classroom. Think of what you are teaching now. Okay, what do I want to change first? What is the problem? What I would like to change first? Okay, I want that shy student to be speaking in my class, for example. Or I want the students who never on their webcam during WebEx class. I want them to on their webcam. How do I do that? So please, think of, okay, what do I do? How do I do? All right. And then actually when action planning is the last step in the action research process. So after you have think, you have collect the data and so on, you take action in the research process, meaning that apa-apa yang nak diubah, what you would like to change, and you change after you have collected the data. Okay. All right. So this is the most important thing lah. All right. So although maybe we try to do the 4-in-1, we try to do research, we try to teach, we try to innovate, we try to publish. All right. Actually, when we do action research, we are doing the reflection. Okay. I found that, some of us, we don't reflect on what we do in our classroom. Okay. Do reflection in classroom is really important, as well as we are helping our institution as well to improve, okay, to actually do innovation. Orang tak adalah orang cakap masuk USM ni lecturer dia mengajar sama je, macam tu je, tak berubah-ubah dari dulu masa saya belajar sampai saya mengajar sama saja. Alright, so we are making progress, as well as we are becoming professional. We are looking at building professional cultures, right? Meaning that tak ada orang kata, you suka mengajar, you pergi mengajar sekolah, right? Although I'm teaching, I do research, I reflect, and I do innovation in my class, all right? And then we are going to be a very professional teachers, professional academics, all right? So we are looking at doing all the KPIs in the university. We teach, we research, we publish, we do innovation. Everything in our classroom. So no problem. Tak boleh dah orang accuse kita, you tak ada grant, you tak buat research. Okay, you have, orang selalu cakap lah, you have to have grant. Kalau tak apply, you berdosa, for example. So, you do research in your own classroom. Alright, and then we actually up our standards. Okay, orang kata mengajar ni tak ada standard, meaning that you teach it, but actually we are building up our standards. Okay, the standard that we start it in our class. We start the standard to build our standard in our own classroom. All right, so I think with that, okay, thank you. Maybe I'll pass it back to Dr. Aisyah. Maybe any questions? Okay, so I think, maybe in pharmacy, kalau you tengok, it is like, it is unusual for whatever we do in class to be turned into a PhD project. But actually in education, we always do that. Whatever we do in class, we turn into, actually my PhD students are all doing whatever they have in their own class to be a PhD project, their own PhD. However, usually we don't recommend action research to be used for PhD. All right. Why? Because it is a small scale. It is too small scale research. All right. And then, but if let's say you are going to use it in your class, pharmacy class, for example, all right, you can. All right, you can. Okay, for example, you are teaching chemistry. All right. So you do intervention in chemistry, for example. That's why just now I mentioned about quasi experiment. If you have you done quasi experiment before? Quasi, let me just type. All right. It is quasi experiment. I type in the chat. So quasi experiment is where you do intervention, whether it is in your classroom or in other people's classroom, but you only need like 2 classroom, for example, meaning that Dr. Aisyah class and my class, for example. So 30 in Dr. Aisyah's class, 30 in my class. All right. But we do the same intervention. All right. So Dr. Aisyah class will be the experimental group and my class will be the control group. The control group will be doing the same thing as they usually use. They usually done. All right, meaning that teach similarly whatever you have done, you are doing now in my class. All right. And Dr. Aisha's class will be the class with the intervention. For example, you would like to use different methods of teaching, for example, or you would like to use gamification in Dr. Aisha class. In my class, you're just using PowerPoint slide, whatever. All right. So the intervention, we will give, for example, before a topic start, you will give the same question, test question to my class and Dr. Aisha class. Okay, same question, or the student will answer. And then after, for example, for a PhD study, usually we have 5 to 6 weeks intervention. All right. So in my class, they will learn normally. In Dr. Aisha class, she will do the intervention, maybe use game, board, whatever, using technology in her class for 5-6 weeks. And after finish the topic, the same question will be given. So we are going to compare my class in Dr. Aisha class. All right, whether maybe in my class also there will be some increment, okay, of marks, and Dr. Aisha also increment of marks, but then we are going to compare my increment of marks and Dr. Aisha's increment of marks, whether there will be significant difference of the intervention and so on. And then for PhD also, we might want to see whether, student with gamification will have increment in their motivation, their satisfaction, their engagement, and so on. So we have quasi and survey in there. So yes, it can be done in your class. All right. So you do innovation in your class, and then you do quasi experiment, see whether the achievement of the students increase, meaning that increase their motivation and so on. All right, so it can be done for PhD study and in your area, meaning that you do iteration in your area but for your students, something like that. Yeah. All right, this is a good question. Thank you, Dr. Faiz. So Waalaikumsalam. So all right, whatever we do in our class, all right, we are going to use the same CLO, course learning outcome, meaning that if at the end of the class, students will be able to do what? To achieve what? All right, so we are going to use the same CLO. Whatever intervention that we do need to go back to the CLO. All right. Start with the CLO. We would like to achieve this. So what intervention we should done to achieve the CLO? We are not doing the intervention so that the student engage, but outside the CLO. No. All right. So when you do intervention in your, for example, my class yesterday, right? So my topic learning outcome for yesterday was so that they will be able to know the issues of MOOC and so on. All right. So whatever activities that I did, although I did a peer review, peer evaluation, and so on, you can see that in my Google form, I still put I include whether they know what is MOOC, whether they highlighted the MOOC and so on. All right, so it should achieve the CLO. We are doing the outcome-based education, so don't forget about that. All right, but still to achieve one learning outcome, we can do various things to achieve that. Okay, sometimes I think there's some misconception from the academics is that, to achieve the learning outcome, we need to teach. We need to actually tell the students everything. Okay, so that is the misconception that we need to change. Course learning outcome won't change, but our action need to be changed. All right? Boleh je, tak ada masalah. Alright, I think Dr. Gurmit's question is really good actually about the ethics. Alright. Okay, so I was expecting this question as well because, like in USM, we have the what we call Japan. You have to go through Japan for ethical and so on. Alright, it depends. Alright, so usually I tell my students, okay, before class, I always tell my students that I am a very innovative teacher lah. So whatever I do, I tell them, okay, I might be publishing what I do in my class, all right? So I ask them for consent, all right? But usually what we do is we must make sure that first your student remain anonymous. You don't publish their names, you don't publish their face and so on. So if UiTM has the requirement about ethics and so on, you have go through ethics, for example, before publication and so on, you need to do that. All right, but if it is not compulsory, then you because sometimes, you know, when we publish in in higher ranking journals, yeah, they do ask for publication ethics. All right, so you need to highlight the ethical. So it's up to actually the amount of data that you collected from the students. All right, sometimes especially when you do qualitative, if you do mixed methods, just a percentage and so on should be okay. But if you do really in-depth qualitative data and you do, you know, interviews of the student, first you need to ask them for consent because you are using their data very thoroughly. Okay, especially qualitative lah. Okay, and then you must tell them that you are going to use this for what. All right, but they will be remain anonymous. So meaning that uh if let's say you are just using the data just in surface, meaning that, you know, just percentage, for example, you what I did, just using the Google form, and it is all anonymous. All right, so then should be okay. But if you are using it in depth, so please do go and have the ethical clearance from any approval ethics committee. All right. So I think, yeah, is yours to consider. All right. Whether, for example, if let's say just now, Dr. Safina mentioned about using the classroom data for PhD, then that is compulsory for you to take ethics lah. Okay, but if let's say to do the ethics, but if let's say it is just a simple data that not required you to actually do extensive data collection, then it should be okay lah. And also it depends on the journal as well. If you publish, sometimes they do. Okay, but I always found that if you publish in higher level Scopus or WUS publication, they do need the ethical clearance. Okay. Okay, all right. And then, Dr. Naim, have you personally experienced negative outcome from reflective teaching? Yes, yes. Okay, it is not always positive. It is, you know, sometimes the student also commented negatively, but I always take that as a very apa orang cakap, it actually helps. You know, you don't always get positive, because if you get positive feedbacks, then you won't learn. All right. Yeah, you won't learn. So we learn from the negative reflection from the students, from our colleagues, and so on, and then I improve. So no worries. Sometimes, yeah, I know that sometimes it is hard to take negative comments, negative reflection. Sometimes, you know, our students right now, they are really, you know, they can tell you in your face that you are not good. Right? But, you know, I don't think that, you know, sometimes memang geram lah kan. Sometimes kadang-kadang diorang ni over pula. But, you know, but take things positively. Sometimes memang kalau kena, we are rejected, then kita punya hati tu, it takes time lah to heal. But then try to, you know, improve. When people say something negative about you, then yeah, maybe it is true. Because, you know, sometimes kita rasa kita betul, but sometimes it is true. So why not we reflect? Kalau kita rasa kita memang dah betul, that should be okay. Tapi if we need to improve, then take it and do some improvement. Don't worry about negative reflection. Yes, yes. Yeah. limitation of the study, for example. Limitation of study, maybe it is only in my class, janganlah cakap in my class, but in one class, okay, in one class, and then the whatever limitation that you have, you mention in your writing. Even if you are in the teaching and learning competition, you also mentioned about the limitation as well in the poster or whatever, so that you tak syok sendiri lah sebenarnya. That is the main point. Sometimes kita ni syok sendiri rasa bagus sangat. Gitu. Alright, thank you Dr. Naim. Yeah. I think that is really important. That's why I would like to highlight that. I highlighted this earlier because I think most of the sciences, the engineers, and so on, you are lack of a model or theory. But in education, we have many models, and usually, if you don't, for example, if you are in sciences, you don't know any model and so on, you go back and look at learning theories, basic learning theories. We have behaviorist, we have cognitivist behaviorist learning theory, cognitivist learning theory, we have constructivist learning theory, and then we have connectivist learning theory. That four learning theories is important, are important. All right, you can choose either one, and then that can be your main support for everything that you do in your classroom. Okay, behaviorist, cognitivist, constructivist, and connectivist. Yeah, choose either one. Choose either one. For example, if you are using technology, for example, you might want to use connectivist. Connectivist is the latest theory based on technology. Or you want to use constructivist. It is learning from experience. So, meaning that, if you are doing something about active learning in your classroom, active learning in pharmacy, you would like to consider constructivist. So it's a very general theory, but it based on experiential learning. Then if you are looking at, you are like me, for example, I bring chocolates in my handbag. Okay, I always have chocolates in my handbag. I always bring nasi lemak in my class, for example, face to face, right? So, meaning that if the students will be able to answer questions, okay, here you are, one nasi lemak, or here you are, I give you one Maggie cup, for example. That is behaviorist, meaning that I give stimulus. Okay, stimulus is and then the student respond. If you can answer this question, I'll give you a Maggie cup. So that is stimulus and response. So although you are using Kahoot, for example, in your classroom, all right, so in Kahoot, they are doing the quiz, for example, and then after they get they are the fastest, and then they get the highest mark, okay, I'll give them chocolate. Okay, the highest mark will get chocolate. So that is stimulus. Okay, yang mana-mana yang tak ada duit, when I bring the Maggie cup, they will like, okay, I want the Maggie cup, so I need to get the highest mark and I need to do this fast. Okay, that is stimulus and response. That is behaviorist. So that four theories that I mentioned just now, it will actually support whatever research that you do in your classroom. Okay, you might want to go and read of the four theories. Then it will help you actually in writing and publish your whatever you do in your classroom. Inshallah, inshallah. Let us have coffee later on. Thank you, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.